Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a splashing good time. January recruitment month for them.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I mean, I would not want to hear that. I would not want to got great this year at SPD. Weird.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Who are you going to call? Dynamite Download. Da-na-na-na-na. Halloween episode. I'm cracking a cold one because Hangman Cowboy shit has gotten thirsty after that Dynamite closer, man. Woo!
Well, congratulations to the Dark Order for pulling out a big W in the main event. Obviously had a lot of people cracking up. Pretty funny stuff. And man, the Dark Order was prominent in tonight's show. So it's good to see them get the last laugh after 10 just got absolutely mauled by Jon Moxley in his match. And we'll get into that one for sure. SPD, as always, a jam-packed episode of Dynamite. Just felt like it's just a rapid pace. I want to get started with you right away because there is a certain match in tonight's show that I just cannot wait to talk about. But anytime CM Punk is on screen, it always feels like it's a very special event. So let's get into that one first. The show started off with, like you talked about, a nice challenge for Punk going against a competitor like Bobby Fish. Kind of gave me vibes of the Daniel Garcia bout.
Okay. All right.
Because Fish is such a technically sound guy.
Right.
The commentary team talked a lot about it. It feels like everything he does is very purposeful, not a lot of wasted motion with Bobby Fish. And I was actually pretty shocked to hear the crowd getting some split Bobby Fish, CM Punk chants going. Watching Bobby Fish and getting him to have this kind of showcase going against one of the best on the planet. What were your thoughts coming away from this one, man?
I absolutely loved this opener of Dynamite. I mean, Dynamite felt like it feels like we're on the road to here because these cards have been just absolutely fire. This gave us everything we wanted tonight on the show. This match delivered on every element for me. I love the body part working, the methodical work of both
You
guys.
do like that. You do like that. I know that
And
you get into that in a
nice
match, and it
purpose.
makes sense.
Right. The heel the heel going for something and both guys selling it like no other. I like you said, to piggyback, I wasn't shocked by the let's go Bobby CM Punk chants. And that just goes to show how smart I think AEW fans are because we appreciate good wrestling. Whether you're a good guy or a bad guy, we appreciate good wrestling. And we're seeing that out of other wrestlers on the Miro, he's a heel, but he's getting cheered. Malachi Black is a heel, but he's getting cheered. All these people because we appreciate that. And this was one of those matches like Bobby Fish has entered AEW and he came in like a storm, in a storm because he's gone toe to toe with so many different people.
Yeah. And
I think his addition is very welcomed. And I think it's going to be fun to watch him, blossom in AEW on a stage that, I'm not used to him seeing him. I haven't followed him, but I'm quickly becoming a huge fan.
I'm glad to hear that you're a fan. I mean, I've seen a lot of his work with the Undisputed Era, and I'll be honest, he never was the guy in that group. And you could tell, you can understand why. When you're paired with Adam Cole, it's hard to shine. Adam Cole always tends to steal the spotlight, right? And in Undisputed Era, that was Adam Cole's group for quite some time. He ended up imploding because of his ego. And we didn't really get a chance to see what Bobby Fish could do in a one-on-one environment very often. He was oftentimes tagging with Kyle O'Reilly. And again, Kyle O'Reilly, a guy who is as good of an in-ring competitor as you're going to find in pro wrestling. So it is nice for me as a guy, even as a guy who has seen a lot of Bobby Fish's work, to get him to break away from this group setting or tag matches and all this stuff and just get one-on-one matches and just let this guy go and let this guy get in his work. And I'm with you. I mean, I'm actually quite impressed by one of the things we talk about a lot is pacing of a match.
Love it.
Bobby Fish's pacing tends to be really smart. His matches tend to be very, like you talked about, methodical, works on the body parts, makes his movements make sense. Not a lot of wasted motion in a match. And I'll say this, though, going against Punk, having Punk get another big W, Brian talks about it in the chat. AEW is definitely leaning into CM Punk being undefeated. And I mean, now 5-0, first W on Dynamite. Every match, every time we get to see Punk get into the ring, you're seeing very different styles. He's getting challenged in very different ways. He's been able to put away big guys like Hobbs, been able to put away technicians like Daniel Garcia, veterans like Bobby Fish now, and charismatic superstars like Darby Allin. I mean, at this point, it's being cemented that Punk is back, and for good reason. I'll give you a chew. I'm gonna hold off on the chew, baby, because Darby is put the ultimate scumbag in his place, and I'm going to be more than happy to talk about that later on. But it is nice to see CM Punk not just – and here's the thing, SPD, I want to hear your thoughts on this. But when they brought Punk in, it felt like one of those where he could have been a guy who wrestled once every couple months and been a big deal or a big draw. But instead of that, they're really allowing him to be featured on the show, whether it's in commentary or in the ring. And I really like that. I like that he feels like a regular on the show. He feels like a staple, right?
Look in my eyes. It's Dynamite. I agree. And I think
the same thing's happening with Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. And I almost like – I'm shocked at the way this roster is so overcrowded in a good way, how much we're getting these two new superstars. Granted, they are superstars and deserve to be featured. I'm shocked at how often we are seeing them. You know, I'm happy for it and, of course, welcoming. But how many times have we seen a debut and almost, you know, we haven't seen for weeks? You know, when Andrade came and made that big impact, we didn't see him for, you know, it took a while for him to get in the ring. It took him for a while to, you know, get at least even like another promo or something. So they're going all in, and I really liked it. Before we go into the next segment, I'm curious, just off the first person that comes to mind, who do you want to see CM Punk face next?
Oh man. Well, I feel like I'm on a fast five right now.
I know you are. One of SPD's fast five.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can't have him go against somebody who could derail him, because the first name, with the way John Moxley is wrestling right now, Moxley is scary good right now. But putting me in a situation where I could see him being potentially still considering a big W. I'd like him to go against one of the AEW mainstays. I'd like to see him get in the ring with Jungle Boy.
Okay.
I'd like him to see him get in the ring with potentially, again, I'm talking about mainstays. He went through Darby. Maybe he goes through the pillars of AEW. I think that would be fascinating, and ultimately culminating against MJF. That would be awesome.
I mean, we've said it. MJF is the ultimate payoff. I would love to see him, which we're going to talk about that scumbag next, which he's probably watching our show, even though he did block us on Twitter with all our positivity for those.
Yeah.
Tag him tag Dynamite Download on all his post fans.
Just go into his comments and just tag our account. Yeah. Just to troll him. What
just
a
link
jerk.
after link. But who I'd want to see would be Ricky Starks.
Oh, great pick.
Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
All right, so MJF in action. Not much of an action. Barely even broke a sweat in this one. So we saw him, which was a little surprise that keep his winning streak going for sure. Made quick ways to his opponent, and obviously we're not talking about the match. We're talking about what happened after the match, and even after MJF's promo when he ran away from a surprise return. Sorry, I had to. I'm allergic.
You're allergic to MJF.
I am allergic to MJF, man. He just has that.
God bless you with allergies against that scumbag. That's awesome, man. Good
Total
for you.
Scumbag. And this promo was every time it just gets better and better with him. It's so good.
It's getting worse and worse too, though. I mean,
it is.
I know I might be tainted because of he genuinely is. He's genuinely one of those guys who just is so. He's mean. He's just a mean dude, man. I mean, in an era where it's popular to cheer the bad guys, right? I mean,
right.
We're going to talk more about this later on in the Cody and Malachi segment. And
sure,
a lot of times the crowd nowadays, we live in very cynical times, and the bad guys are good guys nowadays. MJF you got to give him credit because he's legitimately, I don't know anyone who could cheer this guy. I mean, just a complete jerk. He's just awful.
Did you catch this sign in there? MJF loves Nickelback. I love, man.
You would. The only way that would be better is if someone next to him said, "And Creed too," and then you would have been laughing your butt off. That would have been great.
I know. Well, we made a sign for him at All Out. MJF wets the bed. So I think they need to start doing some more. And he's got to be honestly laughing and just like smiling when he goes home because the work that he's been doing. Another fire promo as well, and calling out getting the heat from the crowd, but ultimately calling out Darby. And I loved the fake Sting return. I love that. And then obviously the real return was even better, man. And we got the challenge set for Darby Allin and MJF at Full Gear. And
I can't wait.
MJF pulled we saw another one of Darby Allin's amazing vignettes. Obviously it was more of not necessarily a stage vignette, but a little bit. And then we saw his debut. It was a perfect re-emergence by Darby in that disguise.
Loved it.
Absolutely loved this moment here on Dynamite. And this just continued throughout the show. Just everything was like a hit. There was no misses of the show, in my opinion. And this one was one of the big hits for sure. A fired up Darby Allin, a fired up Sting, taking out the accountability buddies. With a thumbtack skateboard, you could see those thumbtacks in Wardlow's back afterwards. Absolutely brutal, man. And now, what better time than now to give us that choo-choo for the Darby Express, bro? How you feeling now that he's back,
brother? I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna give you an epic Darby Express. Choo-choo, baby. I don't want to show my bias too bad. But there's not a match in recent AEW history that I want the outcome to go one way as much as this one. I want Darby Allin to just send MJF packing so badly. I would have my little MJF voodoo doll. I'll be putting little thumbtacks in it in honor of Darby. As the conductor of the Darby Express, you couldn't pick a better match for me. I definitely want Darby to send MJF home packing. And I feel like this is a great matchup in that his point is not to beat Darby physically. His point has been to try to beat Darby mentally. And so it wouldn't hurt if MJF lost this match physically. And and I like that. And if Darby and think about it, I know you've been reluctant to get on the Darby Express. How big of a win would this feel like for Darby Allin to beat a guy like MJF, a guy who prides himself on being, Mr. Undefeated, a guy who just absolutely handpicks his opponents sometimes to pad the stats.
Yeah, right. I know.
But I mean, it feels like this would be something that would help catapult Darby back into that stratosphere that we know he's capable of, putting down MJF. And I think it would be believable too with all the things that are going on in this story, man. the accountability buddies, that has some drama going around it. You can tell
Sure.
Sean Spears is eating up everything MJF has to say. He's all in. Totally. I love it. He's kind of like underappreciated comedy with Sean Spears at times.
Right.
I really like the way he kind of low key, slow plays it. But Wardlow, you can tell, is kind of not vibing with him as much of late. And it's not just last week. It was in the ring this week too. He's not cracking up at MJF's digs at the Boston crowd. Just kind of standing there stoically. And I think that his MJF shtick is wearing thin, not just for your guys here at Dynamite Download, but for the Ward Dog. I am praying that this not only leads to Darby Allin beating MJF at Full Gear, but that this also rips off the Band-Aid. Let's break the chain, baby. Let the Ward Dog loose, and let's tear up MJF. I want to see him just rip him apart.
If those chains are broken, man, everyone is in danger. A mad, angry, seeking revenge Wardlow is a scary one, and definitely do not want to cross paths with that. But I could totally see this. Months. I mean, we've been wanting this for months and months and months and months. I think we can, now that the accountability buddies are kind of, at MJF's hips, I think we can see more attacks, and maybe officially, Spears takes a swing and hits Wardlow. And so he kind of will like shrug it off and just like give him the stare down. And it's like another button pushed, even though MJF's been pushing like all the buttons. So we see that. But all right, here you go. If Darby Allin beats MJF, I'll get my ticket for Darby Express, bro. I'll get a first class ticket.
I like it. I'm going to save room for you up front, and I'll let you join. Maybe I'll let you take over the controls for a little bit. All right. Maybe I'll let you. Yeah. Maybe I'll let you get a little. You can do a little choo choo. I'll maybe let you do that.
Okay.
Bud.
All right. You'll let me honk the horn.
Yeah.
Man, what a guy. What a guy.
Well, a guy that you and I have been on board with from day one. And again, I know I'm the conductor of the Darby Express, but I've said it, and I know it was controversial at the time. But I really do believe that All Ego Ethan Page is going to go down as one of the biggest signings AEW's had in this calendar year. And I know they've got a lot of big names that have joined this roster. But I believe that this dude checks every single box that you can ask for when you look for a prototype superstar in the landscape of professional wrestling. And this matchup against Sammy Guevara absolutely delivered, man. We've seen Sammy now break out of his shell a little bit, get a little bit more comfortable on the shtick after last week's segment against American Top Team. And I think that's not a coincidence, because All Ego Ethan Page, you could tell that dude is just so comfortable on the mic. Mm-hmm. It allows Sammy to kind of take some risks, knowing that a segment's going to get carried. And I felt like the match itself did the same. There's such great compliments off of each other. One of the things I noticed in this matchup is, Sammy has that fiery attitude. He's go nonstop. I mean, he was after Ethan Page before the bell even rang, folks.
Loved that part.
But Ethan Page is such an underrated, strong guy. He kind of has that Cesaro vibe where, pound for pound, one of the strongest guys on the roster, just kind of has that without being overly the prototypical powerhouse Hobbs type.
Right.
Ethan Page is just a great base for a guy like Sammy to work around. And I thought that this match absolutely was earlier in the night, but one of the ones that stole the show, absolutely delivered for me.
It was, to me, I think this was my match of the night. I love the way it started. I love the chemistry these guys have together. It was, this pairing is amazing, and I can't wait till we see a side battle in that 5-on-5 with guys. So I really, really enjoyed this pairing. High energy, fast pace, tons of big spots. I also liked how they tied in Dark into the storyline. I hope they start doing that more and more often to make Dark more must see. We saw a lot of, if you did watch Dark, we saw a lot of things play out, yesterday. And this was another one where they, Scorpio, the Men of the Year, bloodied up Sammy Guevara. But Sammy the guy is just fearless. He's incredible in the ring. He's fun to watch. He can get the crowd going. And man, wow, some of the moves he could do are incredible. They leave you saying, "Holy," giving those chants for a reason.
That's right, brother.
And it's fun. This title run, this TNT title run for Sammy is going to be, he's going to have some show stealing matches. And this was definitely an argument for match of the night, in my opinion. My match of the night. I know we had a very stacked card, and every match, MJF match, to the side, was a very entertaining, high quality match. We saw that the ground and pound, the methodical stuff with the CM Punk, Bobby Fish. We saw this one, high energy, fast pace. We saw a very physical one, which we'll talk about next with the women's match. We saw an absolute, bloody beatdown, and then we saw comedic stuff. We saw so many different levels of matches tonight. And this one overall, I think left me, thinking about the most. I really liked it a lot.
Your match of the night.
Yeah.
I love it.
Confidently say it. My match of the night.
That's fantastic.
And I know. And what after the match was even better. The crowd is so hot for the Inner Circle, man. I said it a few weeks ago. Like the pairing against American Top Team and the Man of the Year, they just must be the perfect heels because to me, I think the crowd is more hot now for Inner Circle than they were when they first turned on MJF and Wardlow and the Pinnacle. The Inner Circle chants, they're going to be getting a Minneapolis street fight. I mean, the Inner Circle is the crew for awesome team battles. I mean, the stadium stampedes, and now we're seeing a pumpkin-headed dipshit. We're going to see, I hope we see Chris Jericho really put Dan Lambert in his place in this street fight. I think he'll get involved, and then Jericho maybe will put him through a table or put him, hit him with something.
Yeah.
So we'll get a lot of great stuff out of this.
Bust out Floyd, maybe take him out at the knees. I like it. Man, I agree with you too. I mean, being plugged in on social media, now that I'm blocked by MJF, I have a little bit more time to look at other accounts. And Fightful, one of the bigger accounts on social for pro wrestling coverage, was talking about how Jericho needs to drop his jokes and that they're Fightful is notoriously they're just anti Chris Jericho, and I felt like that was one of the most out of touch tweets that I saw tonight because Jericho got the crowd chanting beat your meat. I mean that I was cracking up hearing that. And I don't know if it's I just think that's hilarious.
It's great, man. That guy is unbelievable.
I mean, if you could get the crowd getting a beat your meat chant going, that's pretty damn funny.
You can get anything over. He's gotten so many different things over.
Exactly.
He's gotten the single word it over.
Exactly.
You're going to get it. Literally.
Jericho is so good. You nailed it. And I know you're a diehard Jericho-holic.
He's on my Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore for SPD. And the guy that's one of the biggest reasons why. He just has an ability to get you to crack up, and he has the ability to get so much stuff over that just shouldn't get over. But just because of how funny his delivery is and his willingness to be corny and just say things that we wouldn't say, he always tests those boundaries. I think Jericho killed it tonight. And it's cool to see, the Inner Circle versus Pinnacle feud was a blood feud, and it was brutal.
Was it ever?
And it was violent, and it was just absolutely, I mean, to me, one of the more controversial feuds over the last year because of how violent it got at times. This one is one of those. It's just it feels a little like a breath of fresh air in that sense. It's it's not this we want to destroy your team and get all this. There's a little comedy in there. All Ego and Scorpio Sky have shown an ability to laugh at themselves. I don't know. I enjoy this because it has a little bit more levity to it. And that's not to say that I didn't like that feud between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle, but I think this one has just a lot more comedy to it, which is fun. It's needed on a show to break it up. So I liked it. We're going to transition from your match of the night to my match of the night. This women's matchup between Hikaru Shida and Serena Deeb
Yep.
was absolutely killer.
Fantastic.
These two women, the pairing together, it works, dude. It just works.
Agree.
I love, Serena Deeb, a very no-nonsense competitor, has seemingly brought out the fire in Hikaru Shida.
Yep. That we needed.
And that was much needed. I'm glad you said it. It's made Shida feel more three-dimensional as a personality on television because it's added that extra layer to her. You could tell she's had enough. And getting this big victory over a veteran like Serena Deeb, although she was left lying afterwards. I mean, Deeb went to town.
Who's the true winner after tonight?
Deeb's chair shots after that match, targeted on the knee. I know, again, you talked about targeted offense. Deeb was just going after that knee against Shida. Absolutely brutal. But, man, I felt like this was a match that set the bar quite high for all the matches going forward. As a first-round match, guys.
This could and should have.
This could have been a semifinals or even a finals. No one would have batted an eye if you said Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida for the finals. No one would have said anything. And I thought this was a great example of something that you've been really, and again, I've been trying to push this women's division. I'm wearing my DMD shirt tonight for that very reason. I've been trying to push this women's division since this show has started. And even I have to step back and say, SPD, you are right in this point. This division is so much deeper now than it ever has been. And this was a great example of what you can like of that very point. The fact that this could stand alone as a first round match in a title tournament, and you have so many more intriguing, incredible matchups to look forward to going forward. It speaks volumes to how far this division has come. But I could take this whole segment just talking about this match, the targeted offense, the power that Shida showed in this matchup, her striking, her knees, her drop kicks were absolutely on fire. And Deeb, again, I absolutely am 100. She's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch in wrestling, period. Regardless of gender. Just she's how
fantastic in the ring.
She has those. She was rocking those Bret Hitman Hart gear and Tony Schiavone and the commentary crew talked about that. And it was the comparisons to the Hitman don't just end at the pink and black gear. You could tell she's showing some Hitman vibes in the ring too, man. The sharpshooter, the
shades now,
figure four around the ring post. I'd love it if she busted out the shades. Yeah, that would be a good call.
I'll send her a pair.
There you go. I like it.
And put a little Dynamite Download logo on the side.
I like
it. This match,
leather jacket,
was fantastic. This was a battle of two elite women in All Wrestling, two elite women in wrestling, period. This was a chance for Shida to showcase her strength and amazing in-ring skills, man. It was one of the more physical matches I've seen in the women's division in months, I feel like. And we always talk about, Thunder Rosa being one of the more badasses and more physical and violent thing. And these two women, for going toe to toe, I don't think I've seen a more physical match. I can't think of the last one.
It dates back to the unsanctioned match between Britt and Thunder Rosa.
That could go back. Not to say there's great matches between, but in terms of pure
physicality,
beating the crap out of each other, and big move after big move, slam after slam, off the top after the top, hold after hold. But
Steve's work on Shida in the corner. I mean, oh my God, man. It was just absolutely a clinic. I saw some people calling for it. I want AEW to post this full match on their YouTube channel. I just want to be able to go back and watch it without commercials, because these two were not only was it incredibly physical, like you talked about, SPD, but it was just so smartly wrestled. And I know that's one of those, if you're watching a Serena Deeb match, you can just do a pull string doll. That's one of the things that you notice every single time you watch Deeb wrestle. She's just such an incredibly gifted mind for the business.
Right.
And you pair her up with somebody like Sheeta, who's young and has that upside to really be an I mean, again, I know she was an AEW Women's Champion and was one of the longest reigning champions in this company's history. So no disrespect when I say this, but I don't think that Sheeta's tapped into her full potential yet. And I think that if you pair her with a veteran like Deeb and you put her in a program long term, and it certainly feels like this has a long-term vibe to it after what we saw post-match.
I hope so.
I think this is going to bring out the best of Hikaru Shida, man. I think this is going to be absolutely long-term storytelling. I think this is one of those feuds that you talked about. The women's division needs more feuds like this to build the division, to build up stars, to get people more invested in characters beyond just the DMD. And if you're not invested in what these two women did, I don't know what you were watching. This was as good of a match as you could ask for on television. These two women absolutely killed it. Loved it. Without a doubt, my top match of the night. And you're going to see later on tonight, top performer of the night came from this match too. I didn't know how to pick a winner between these two.
I think we all won. And afterwards, the heel Deeb is a character and someone that is going to be insanely fun to watch. It's going to be a lot. And she put on a level 10 on Cheetah afterward, going brutal. Cheetah was made her team. It was insane. I loved it, and I'm glad the refs came out and not another contender, because that way that's going to keep. But another level 10 assault. We saw Dark Order's 10, which we just recently interviewed, who was 2 for 2 on the week. And, he had a win against QT Marshall on Monday, another win on Dark yesterday, and now he was against John Moxley on Wednesday. So he was looking for that clean sweep. But man, did Moxley come in with a vengeance, man. He's looking bigger, and he's looking more pissed off. And he, talking with 10 in the interview, if you guys haven't checked it out, last week, Moxley, this is the second time he's gotten in the ring with him. The first time he broke his arm, and little vengeance. 10 is handpicked by Brody Lee, Mr. Brody Lee. Got an 11 match winning streak. He's a role, man. And so, but Moxley came in physical. He was ripping the mask. He was biting him.
Then he really nasty.
Busted open 10 on that ring post. Hopefully he's doing all right, but I feel like cut a little short just because of the brutality of Rush. We saw 10 start to go offense, and I was hoping the trade. He came, saw, and he left. As far and all, say not getting paid
by the hour. Yeah, they're not getting paid by the minute. I mean, to me, I called it before this week, man. I tried to tell you guys, I tried to warn you. Moxley's giving me some major heel vibes. And this was an example, dude. Like, 10 is way over with the crowd. 10 is way over with the fans. And if you didn't catch it when they cut to the DMD's promo after this, you could hear 10 chants going on from the crowd, and I'm just going to say what Moxley did. What Moxley did was absolutely brutal. He seems like he's on a warpath, dude. Like, this is a guy who, if you follow his career, even dating back to his independent days before his time spent in the WWE, he's got a long track record of being a dude who kind of operates on the outside edges of what works and what's, as far as what's kosher for a babyface to do. He's always kind of operated, to the beat of his own drum, the lunatic fringe, so to speak. And I'll be honest with you, man, he looks like a bad dude right now. And if he did this to 10, imagine what he's got in store for a guy like Orange Cassidy, who, I mean, I know OC just beat Hobbs, very controversial win in the first round. Had a lot of people questioning that booking just because of Hobbs's the momentum that he's been having. that said, OC, very popular babyface. If this kind of Moxley comes into that match, if this version of John Moxley goes toe-to-toe with Orange Cassidy, and if he just absolutely destroys Hobbs, or if Moxley destroys Orange Cassidy the way that he did to John Moxley, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of fans out there who are going to be questioning is John Moxley truly a babyface? I've been saying it from the get-go. I'm really concerned that, not necessarily that it's a bad thing. I like what they're doing. I like it. I think that there's a lot to like about what they're doing with John Moxley, but this feels like a John Moxley that is bound and determined to make it to the finals of this tournament. He said it in his promo. He's going to win it. And I'm not betting against him in this one whatsoever. I think that there's a lot to like about this. So, I don't know, man. I think Moxley is on a warpath. I said it, dude. If he brings this kind of intensity going against Orange Cassidy, it's gonna be brutal. 10 is no pushover.
No, especially
Moxley's
with
willing
his
to
recent
bite
record.
you. Oh my God, Moxley's willing to bite you and scratch you, and the stuff that this dude's willing to do. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
if
betting
he did this
against
to
Mox.
10, Orange Cassidy will lucky to last 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's the truth.
10's offense is much more physical than Orange
and
Cassidy's.
he's more physical. That's the thing is, man, this is gonna really test OC. There's no doubt about that. I wouldn't want to be Orange Cassidy right now.
No, thank you. Absolutely. I don't want to be anyone on that side of the bracket as well. So, man. So this is, we're going to shift into one of the more compelling stories in AEW, in my opinion. And I know we've talked about it in, great depth here at Dynamite Download, that what's happening with Cody. And I know he has said on his show, Roads to the Top, and he said it here in the promo that he's never turning heel. He's never going to turn heel as much, he's not going to lean in. But after this promo, how could you not like him?
The crowd
throwing his
turned
shoes
on
in
him
the
again.
crowd, talking about his brother, his history. How he's saying, don't forget who built the bank, but you know who signs the checks. Everything he said to me was 100% babyface. And how could you not want to cheer for this guy after this? And we're Team Cody. And I've been Team Cody all along. And I don't want to see him turn heel.
You've been Team Cody all along, and we just pivoted from a conversation about John Moxley, a guy who is still getting the babyface crowd reactions, even though he's literally
a wild thing,
biting someone in the head until they bleed. Then you got a guy like Cody who comes out here in his pure class, takes the high road, acknowledges the boos, but still he still stays true to his character and his values. I'm with you. I'm starting to get a little I know I'm the heel of this team.
I'll get you that babyface shirt.
Maybe that's why I like this so much, because the crowd we live in such a cynical world these days. And I'm starting to see a lot of comments on Twitter talking about, Cody, boo, and all this stuff. And then there are other people who are questioning, why is this happening? And I'm glad that some people are pointing out, why are you booing this guy? He's genuinely a good guy. It's almost like they want him. It's almost like the fans want him to turn around and spit on them and tell them that they all suck, and then they'd start to cheer him again. I don't get it. And I'll be honest with you. I'm with you on Team Cody, man. I'm 100% behind you. I think that there's not enough guys like him who are willing to just take the heat and still be themselves and still stay true to their values. He's a family man. He's a good dude. If I were a fan, I don't know, I have a kid coming on the way, I want them to root for Cody Rhodes. I want them to look up to him. And I know maybe that makes him controversial, that he's just too good of a guy. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not on board with the fans turning on him. And I'm glad that Cody is sticking true to his principles. And I'll say this. AEW is very smart because Cody's been getting some controversial reactions. There are very few dudes in the business right now who can make the fans absolutely get on board with Cody Rhodes being the babyface. Quite like my guy, the best wrestler on the planet, Pac himself, the bastard. Pac coming out, making a save, teaming up with Cody. You have these two guys going against Malachi and Andrade. Brother, inject that shit in. Give me a booster shot of that. I want, sign me up. I'll get triple booster shots of Pac and Cody versus Malachi and Andrade. I want all that they can give me of this one. It doesn't get better. These four together.
You link a chain together. This is 4 links in a chain that would never break.
Amen, dude.
And then these 4 guys in the ring that we're gonna get eventually, obviously reading between the lines, is absolutely incredible. I mean, we saw everyone knows Pac and Andrade are 2 of the best in-ring performers, period. And we know how you feel about Pac, the best wrestler in the world.
Bro.
But it's no secret that everyone we talk to in our interviews, they mention Pac.
They do. Pretty much every wrestler that we've
Ethan
interviewed.
Page, was jealous of Pac, and I mean, how could you not? The guy looks incredible. The stuff he can do is no one should be able to do, but he does it.
Yep.
His wrestling is flawless.
Yeah, I mean, he's as seamless of an in-ring. And what I like about this a lot too, SPD, is you got a guy like Pac and you got a guy like Andrade. 2 guys who are just very fluid and seamless in the ring. And we've seen Andrade 1 and 2 those matches just absolutely murder it in the ring, right? But then you also got two guys on each opposing end that also know the showmanship of wrestling. And not to say that Andrade and Pac aren't great at that, because I think that Pac is underrated when it comes to his promo work. I think Andrade tonight coming out, no one cutting a promo for him. He had the shtick himself. Him being able to come out and cut a good promo was fantastic. Not that aside, Cody and Malachi, these are 2 guys who just get it. They get the showmanship. They get the pomp, the circumstance. They know how to play off of the emotions of the crowd. You throw all these things into one pot, you have one just absolutely killer bowl of chili for a wrestling fan. It doesn't get better.
Bowl of chili, all right,
dude. I'm telling you, all the good ingredients you're gonna have fall. This is as good as it gets for fall wrestling right now. These guys are absolutely, and I love that. And I told you last week, you and I were arguing about it. Cody and Malachi, whether or not that feud was over with, it's very clear that feud is not done. And that makes me a very happy guy. I'm so happy that feud's not over with because it's working. Why end it here? I think that they both are working so well off of each other.
And we saw a great promo by Malachi Black earlier in the show. And so when we get this tag team match, hopefully at Full Gear, which Full Gear is already becoming such a stacked show, it will be a show stealing moment. I mean, anytime you get Pac in the ring and you have someone, almost holding their ground and equal with Andrade, you're going to get show stealing moments for sure. Whew, man, it's exciting. It's an exciting story. I hope that Pac can really help people open their eyes to the Nightmare family and
Cody's
Cody
greatness.
Rhodes. So, main event was
controversial main event,
full of shenanigans, full of costumes. We saw the Dark Order go toe to toe with the Elite, AEW's home team in the Dark Order. And, the non-traditional, Johnny Hungy didn't have his tag team partner in there. We saw Cole Cabana getting lots of pops dressed as, the Associate Stooge, Brandon Cutler with the cold spray. This match, to me, all the comedy aside, I love the wrestling parts about it. I was cracking up a lot of parts with the Halloween costumes, the Ghostbusters. The theme song was fantastic. Johnny Hungy was getting over. It might have been pushed a little too far, but it still worked for me. I really enjoyed it. And the ultimate payoff at the end, with Hangman hiding under the Ghostbuster costume as well. So We got the to go home happy.
Stay
drinking
Puft
beer.
Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But man, Dark Order once again is just proving time and time again how amazing they are as a team, how well they click as a team. I mean, all 4 guys were just incredible. The crowd was so over for them. The Johnny Hungy chants. They are putting on some great matches. I hope that they can continue this momentum and be featured more and more on Dynamite and Rampage because they deserve it. The crowd loves them. That Johnny Hungy chant was going wild and strong. He was going absolute tears. Everyone was over for Dark Order. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't say it's not easy to, because even though you are against the number one, top heels, but everyone was eating up Uno, Stu, Colt, Hungy, everyone was eating it up, man. It was great. And I liked the comedy aspect to a sense, and it played into the match, but near the end it was getting pretty chaotic, but we were all happy, chaos aside.
The proton packs played a major role in this match, and JR looked like you could just tell in JR's voice he was cringing with the comedy that was going on in the ring, and it wasn't for everybody. This was not the thing that was a bummer to me was if you take the Bambi costumes off and you take all the silliness aside, the match itself was awesome. I think a lot of people are going to be distracted, and I can only imagine what Jim Cornette's going to have to say about this. But there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be critical about this match because of the silliness. But there really wasn't as much silliness other than just the visual of a guy wrestling in a Ghostbusters costume, or I thought that the match was actually fast paced, hard hitting. There were a lot of great spots that worked. It just was odd for me that I felt like this could have been a good show opener. I don't know. I felt like this could have been one of those that kind of get some laughs and get some humor in. But I feel like the women's match was just pure technical greatness. That maybe that's just me. Everybody has different tastes.
Sure.
But I thought that the entrances alone were epic. The Ghostbusters entrance, as a kid who grew up in the 80s, I loved the Ghostbusters entrance by the Elite. Absolutely hilarious.
Yep.
Mikey Ruckus tweeted about trying to create a Ghostbusters theme while driving and trying to get to the arena. A lot of skill there. Awesome entrance. And as a Hangman Adam Page, you look like Hangman Adam Page, honestly, with the hair and the beer in your hand. And the people who love themselves some Hangman had to love this because he got the last laugh on the Elite. As a group that has constantly used the numbers game to their advantage and constantly felt like they are outsmarting their opponents, it was pretty cool to see Hangman again get the one-upper on them. I thought that was to send the fans home with that cowboy shit. That's worked.
Right. It would have been a perfect show to go to because you have CM Punk opening the show, and then you have Hangman Adam Page closing the show. I mean, what better way? And then the roller coaster emotions, everything in between. Man, what a Dynamite. And the road to Full Gear is not slowing down anytime soon. On Rampage, we got Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. We got Dante and Seidel going, for the third time, which they put on incredible matches. And we got the DMD versus Abaddon in a no DQ Halloween Havoc match, essentially. And on Dynamite, they've already announced Cody versus Andrade, Anna versus Jamie Hayter, and Mox versus OC. And, that's just the taste on Dynamite.
You want to taste?
So we're going to see about 3 more matches for that, sure. But as we're winding things down, top performers of the night, it comes to no surprise here if you were listening to our show. My match of the night, Sammy Guevara versus Ethan Page. So Sammy is my top performer. Your match of the night, Sheeta versus Deeb, and Sheeta is your top performer. So clearly we're giving credit where credit is due, man. Incredible stuff. Sammy Guevara putting on show-stealing moments. Sheeta back in action on Dynamite on TV, showing where she belongs and making that statement, man. Did she ever?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that you and I both picked some of the top performers of the night for a reason. Sammy defending his TNT championship in a great matchup of two young superstars with huge ceilings. And for me, Sheeta getting the 50th win of her career, finally getting that revenge against Deeb. Honestly, I struggled really hard picking between Sheeta and Deeb. I felt both of those performers were absolutely incredible in that match. And if you missed my take on that match, go back and check that out, because that was, to me, that set the bar quite high for the women's tournament going forward, man. That the women in the next round better step their game up, because Sheeta versus Deeb, man, they absolutely killed it in the ring tonight.
Couldn't agree more, man. I think we're all happy and we all won tonight because AEW put on quite the show and quite the product. We're going to wrap things up for this episode of Dynamite Download, episode 57. Thank you guys all for joining us. It's always great to hear you in the chat. If you're watching later, we appreciate the support. You know where to find us. We'll be back on Friday night for Rampage Rundown. Everyone, happy Hump Day. Dynamite's back on its rightful place on Wednesday nights.
Oh, does it feel good to be home?
It does feel great. And thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of your week, baby. Who are you going to